I want you to think about the last time something went wrong in your day. Maybe you received some critical feedback at work, or you got stuck in traffic, or you had a minor disagreement with a friend. What was your brain's first reaction? For most of us, that one negative event can hijack our entire day. We replay it in our minds. We focus on what went wrong. We worry about the consequences. A single negative comment can easily outweigh a dozen compliments we received earlier. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone, and you are not flawed. You are simply experiencing the natural default setting of the human brain. This is called the negativity bias. It's a product of our evolution. Our ancient ancestors who paid more attention to the rustle in the bushes, a potential predator, than they did to the beautiful sunset, were the ones who survived to pass on their genes. Our brains are hardwired with a Velcro-like tendency for bad experiences and a Teflon-like quality for good ones. In the modern world, this survival mechanism is no longer serving us so well. It leaves us ruminating on criticism, anxious about the future, and blind to the good that is all around us. Now, before we go any further, it is crucial to make a distinction. This is not a video about toxic positivity. This is not about pretending to be happy when you're not, or ignoring real problems. True, resilient positivity is not about the absence of negativity. It's about your ability to bounce back from it. The good news is that your brain's default setting is not fixed. Thanks to a remarkable property of the brain called neuroplasticity, you can, with conscious effort, retrain it. You can literally rewire your neural pathways to counteract the negativity bias and build a more optimistic and resilient mindset. Today, we're not just going to talk about thinking positive. We are going to talk about training positive. I will share 3 powerful, science-backed exercises you can use to begin this training today. Before we get to the exercises, it's essential to understand the scientific principle that makes all of this possible: neuroplasticity. For a long time, it was believed that the adult brain was largely fixed and unchangeable. But over the past few decades, neuroscience has proven that this is not true. Neuroplasticity is the brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself, to form new neural connections, and to change its structure and function in response to experience. Think of your habitual thought patterns as paths in a grassy field. Every time you have a worried thought or a self-critical thought, you are walking down a specific path. The more you walk down that same path, the more defined and well-worn it becomes. Eventually, it becomes a deep rut, your brain's automatic default trail. It's easy and effortless to fall into that path of negativity. Neuroplasticity means that you have the power to consciously choose to walk a new path. You can choose to forge a path of gratitude or a path of self-compassion. At first, this is difficult. It's like trying to walk through tall, thick grass. It requires effort and intention. But every time you intentionally practice a positive thought pattern, you are tamping down the grass on that new path. With consistent practice, you will create a new, well-worn trail. And as you use this new positive path more and more, the old negative path, through disuse, will slowly begin to grow over. The exercises we are about to discuss are not just feel-good platitudes. They are the mental equivalent of walking those new paths. They are practical ways to physically forge new, more positive neural pathways in your brain. This brings us to our training program. Our first exercise is a cornerstone of positive psychology, based on the work of its founder, Dr. Martin Seligman. It's all about actively fighting the negativity bias by training your brain to scan for the good. The daily practice is called 3 Good Things. The exercise is incredibly simple, but its effects are profound. Every single night before you go to sleep, take out a notebook and write down 3 things that went well for you that day. They don't have to be monumental events. They can be very small, a delicious cup of coffee, a moment of sunshine on your face, a project you made progress on. After you write down each good thing, you must do one more crucial step. Write a brief sentence about why it happened. This second part is the key. It forces you to look for your own agency or the positive circumstances that led to the good event. For example, instead of just writing, "I finished my report," you might write, "I finished my report because I managed my time well this morning and focused without distraction." Instead of just, "I had a nice chat with a friend," you might write, "I had a nice chat with a friend because I made the effort to reach out and check in on them." At first, this might feel awkward or even difficult. Your brain is so used to scanning for problems that scanning for positives feels unnatural. But if you stick with it, something remarkable happens. Your brain gets better at it. You start to automatically notice good things as they are happening during the day, because you know you'll need something to write down later that night. You are literally retraining your brain's attentional filter, teaching it to let more of the good in. This simple 5-minute exercise has been scientifically shown to decrease symptoms of depression and increase feelings of happiness and well-being for months after the practice is stopped. Our second exercise is about changing the stories you tell yourself when things go wrong. It's called the reframing matrix, and it targets what psychologists call your explanatory style. Dr. Seligman discovered that the key difference between optimists and pessimists is not that bad things don't happen to optimists, it's how they explain those bad things to themselves. Pessimists tend to explain negative events using what are called the 3 Ps. They see them as permanent, pervasive, and personal. For example, if a pessimist gets a poor review at work, their internal monologue might be, "I'll never be good at this job," permanent. "This means my entire career is a failure," pervasive. And, "It's all my fault, I am just not smart enough," personal. This explanatory style is a recipe for helplessness and despair. First, instead of seeing the event as permanent, you practice seeing it as temporary. Okay, this was a bad review, but it's a temporary situation. It is not a permanent reflection of my worth. I can improve. Second, instead of seeing it as pervasive, you see it as specific. This criticism applies to this one project, not my entire life. I am still a good friend, I am still healthy, and I am still good at other aspects of my job. You contain the problem to its specific box instead of letting it contaminate everything. And third, instead of making it purely personal, you look for external or circumstantial factors. This is not about avoiding responsibility, but about having a more realistic perspective. Yes, I made some mistakes, but the deadline was also unreasonable, and we didn't have all the resources we needed. This reframing is not about lying to yourself. It's about developing a more balanced, realistic, and compassionate way of interpreting adversity. It's a shift from a narrative of shame to a narrative of learning. By consciously practicing this new explanatory style, you train your brain to stop catastrophizing and instead to see challenges as what they are: temporary, specific, and solvable. Our third exercise is perhaps the most counterintuitive, but it is one of the fastest ways to improve your own mood. It is the practice of intentional acts of kindness. It seems backwards. When we feel down, our instinct is to focus inward on our own problems. But research overwhelmingly shows that one of the most effective ways to boost your own happiness is to do something kind for someone else. The exercise is simple. Once a week, commit to performing 5 small acts of kindness in a single day. These don't have to be grand gestures or cost any money. The power is in the intention. Examples could be paying for the coffee for the person in line behind you, sending a genuine, specific compliment to a colleague over email, leaving a positive and thoughtful comment on a small creator's video. Taking a moment to text a friend or family member and telling them specifically why you appreciate them, or simply holding a door open for someone with a warm, genuine smile. The science behind this is fascinating. When we perform an act of kindness, our brains release a cocktail of feel-good chemicals, including dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, sometimes referred to as the helper's high. It creates a warm glow of positive feeling. But more than that, it powerfully shifts our focus. It's impossible to be ruminating on your own problems when you are actively thinking about how to make someone else's day a little bit better. It breaks the cycle of negative self-focus and connects you to others, which is a fundamental human need. The fastest way out of your own head is to do something good for someone else. So, let's recap our training program. First, practice gratitude with the 3 good things exercise to train your brain to scan for the positive. Second, practice reframing with the 3 Ps to change the story you tell yourself about setbacks. And third, practice intentional acts of kindness to shift your focus outward and generate positive emotions. This is a training program. Your brain has spent your entire life walking down its default neural pathways. It will take time and consistent practice to build these new positive superhighways. It will not happen overnight, but even just 5 minutes of dedicated practice each day can, over time, create profound and lasting change. These practices also create a positive feedback loop. When you practice gratitude, you feel better. When you feel better, you are more resilient and better at reframing setbacks. When you are more resilient, you have more energy to perform acts of kindness for others. And when you are kind to others, it gives you more things to be grateful for. It creates an upward spiral of well-being. Training your brain to be more positive is not about wearing rose-colored glasses or ignoring the very real challenges and pains of life. It is about choosing your focus. It is about understanding the incredible, adaptable machine that is your brain and consciously giving it better, more helpful instructions. It is the ultimate act of taking control of your inner world so that you can show up in the outer world with more resilience, more joy, and more strength. And as always, if you are struggling with persistent feelings of sadness or depression, please consider speaking with a mental health professional. This training is a powerful tool, but it is not a substitute for professional care.